Hello, I'm Regina McCann-Hess, President of Forge Wealth Management, and welcome to our Women of Wealth series. Today I have a new friend, Allison. Can you tell us who you are, what you do, and what you love about what you do?
Absolutely. First, thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to have this conversation with you today. I am, um, my favorite job I always say is being a mother of two. I have a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old. And other than that, I am the co-CEO of the Maguire Real Estate team at Keller Williams in Westchester. I am also the co-CEO of Door Life Property Management, also located in Westchester. And my husband and I invest in real estate. We have 12 properties that we manage and rent out long term. So I really do all things real estate: buy, sell, invest, rent, repeat, all of those things. And we help clients get into the market, get out of the market, and really understand what it looks like to build a real estate portfolio. Also selling on the residential side, really servicing all aspects of real estate. I got into real estate about 15 years ago. I really love what I do. I can't imagine being um, in another industry. It's really allowed me to utilize a lot of creativity, allowed me to build businesses, allowed us to build wealth, build passive income. And that is what has always attracted me to the industry. That's what I love about what I do is um, building the investment side of it and teaching other people how to do the same.
Yeah, yeah. And we were both at a networking group hosted by the O'Connor Group maybe about a month ago at this point, and you did a great job of educating everyone there about real estate and the way to invest in real estate and the passive income side of it. And I know we don't have as much time as we did there, but I don't know if you want to maybe spend a minute or two in that area of like, what got you started, anything along those lines, because I thought your presentation was fabulous.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Um, so we got started many years ago. My husband was working in the city of Philadelphia when there was a lot of building going on in the Temple area. A lot of student housing was going up and it was getting gentrified. And I mean, it was just like bulldozing blocks practically. So we saw what his company was doing, and we said, we want to get in on this. And that was right before I started in the business, and I had the opportunity to buy a lot, to build a duplex, and to rent it out to students, which is all of the sort of really difficult things that you can do in real estate investing, but I didn't know any better at the time. So I did it, and it worked out incredibly. We had great cash flow. We were able to then do a 1031 exchange, which is something I'm sure you educate a lot of your clients on, to buy a 6-unit building in about 2 years after we had purchased that. So I really did it I really learned and got into it just by trying, by seeing someone else do it. And that really expanded my idea of what was possible, because I did it with a really small amount of money in the beginning. I mean, we used $10,000 of our own money, borrowed a little bit of money, and then paid the borrowed money off within a year. And then from there, again, have used it to then purchase that 6-unit property, which we still own today. We held on to that one because that's been a great one and
Ah,
we like the
cool.
location. So yeah, it's a great industry. It's also an industry that's really important to make sure you're working with someone who either is an investor or works with a ton of investors, because it's like a different language from, the residential side.
Oh, I can imagine. I can imagine.
Yeah.
Like even with like, I've bought and sold many of my own personal homes, but even when you're going to look for office space, it's a completely different ball game for that, and then a completely different ball game for what type of real estate investing you're doing.
Yeah, it's really different. And there's so many different flavors of it, right? Like there's so many different flavors of real estate investing. It can be single families, multifamilies, it can be flips, it can be wholesaling, it can be commercial, it can be, you and I talked about DSTs. So there are so many different ways to do it. It just depends what your goals are, what knowledge you have, what industry you might be in, and how it could complement what you're already doing. So there's great personalized approaches that anyone can take to make it really complement whatever other investments they're currently doing.
Mhm. And is there a specific area that you, I guess, niche down, like with helping clients? Is there a certain area that you really like to work with people on over
Yeah,
another?
yeah, I would say I work with most people on holds. So whether that be a single unit or a small multi-unit, or even like a larger multi-unit, smaller apartment complex, holds, that is really where I would say I know my numbers inside, outside, and upside down. And I can really be of a good support there, and being able to provide a lot of guidance in that space for people that want to
Yeah,
hold and rent.
you had mentioned, and I think you said this kind of just in passing, but it stuck with me, was that, before you even go see a property, all the numbers. And so if you go see that property and it doesn't match up with what the numbers are saying, you are not emotionally attached to it. You make it a business transaction. It's not an emotional attachment. If it's not going to be as productive as you think it is, you're like, all right, I'm done, walking away. And I think that's a
Walking
great
away,
approach.
zero emotion. I mean, there is such an emotional response when somebody's buying a home for their family or selling a home, that you raise kids in, or, made memories in. That's such an emotional experience. Whereas when you're buying and selling investment real estate, it is just the same as maybe valuating a fund, a mutual fund, right? Like there's no emotion in that.
Hmm.
You're just saying, what does my return
Right.
look like? What do the numbers look like? So it is the numbers, which I'm sure you can appreciate being in your field, is that it just comes down to that, and making sure that you're making the right decision.
Right. Right. No, that's important. That's important. So if people are listening to this or watching it and they want to learn more about you and your firm and the business that you're in, where would they go find more information?
Yeah, that's great. So they can go to our website, moremaguireteam.com, and Maguire's Maguire, but I'm sure if you just Google it, you will find us. We're in Westchester. Or Door Life PM for propertymanagement.com. You can see all of our property management services. We have our tiers there. Everything's really listed. So there's many channels through those two websites where you can get in touch with us. We're also on those same handles on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. So we have a lot of information out there for anyone who might be interested in learning just a little bit more, maybe even before they reach out.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. Educate themselves. We were talking about that before we started recording today, where it's really important for professionals to be on the social media so that, if somebody is referred to one of us, a client can kind of go check us out on social media or on our websites before they even have that first phone call. So they kind of get a better feel for who they're dealing with and what we're about.
Yeah, absolutely. And making sure they feel like it would be at least initially a good fit, based on what somebody's putting out there, and their style, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. And not all personalities match up either, right?
Yeah,
Definitely.
and that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So tell us about maybe some of the challenges that you have faced as a professional woman, and maybe even as a professional mom. I mean, you're a mom too, right? You're doing your mom job and then you go to work, right? You do your first job, then you go to
Yeah.
your second job.
It's so funny you say that, because I just saw a stat this morning or yesterday where a company evaluated, I guess, how much a mom works. I'm saying that in air quotes here, and I think it said the average mom's weekly, hourly working, the average mom's working hours were 89 hours a week. And I thought, ooh, that's a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Starts early
Plus,
and
then
ends
they go
late.
to
So
the, yeah, right,
that's a whole nother
right,
podcast, right? But
exactly,
um
exactly.
I think I'm really passionate. I'm really glad you asked me that question because I'm really passionate about being a mother and being a woman in business because it is very different. You know, we put on a very different pair of shoes every day, I think, when we come in and do what we do. Not only from the perspective of everything typically as you know, being the female role in your family that you're doing outside of your job, which obviously affects your day to day. But just the approach I think that we can have as women in business uh, is interesting because I think a lot of times I thought that as a woman in business, I needed to almost be, I have a male partner, right? So I almost felt like I needed to be the man. I needed to show up a certain way, to dress a certain way. And then I realized um, over time that the more that I showed up more in a feminine capacity and more in a feminine leadership role, that I actually was much more effective, and that I was having greater strides in my business forward. And when I was really just kind of owning it, because I think at first it's difficult. You know, my business is very male dominated in real estate. Typically, a lot of the more, let's call them productive agents or the investors, right? Especially investing, I go into that room. Sometimes I'm the only woman in the room. And so just being, I think, in a male dominated industry, it has really kind of helped me realize that I don't necessarily have to show up that way. And this has taken me, you know, probably 15 years to even figure out. But that being a woman in business really is its sort of its own superpower. And that the more that we embrace that, and the more that I embrace that, I feel like the better outcomes I'm having on a day-to-day basis. So that's probably sort of a broad answer to your question because I didn't get into the
Love it.
nitty-gritty, but I think it's a topic that we could probably go really deep on and talk about for quite a while. But um, I feel very passionate about that. I do have actually a quarterly women's investor meetup that I hold because I do feel so passionate about this topic. So once a quarter, get together, smaller group of women that are interested in investing, that are in investing, and we sit down, we mastermind, we work together to you know, discuss things that we're up against that are unique to us as women, because I think it is really a niche when it comes down
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah, for sure. I love that you referred to it as a superpower. Uh, uh, that's awesome. Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. And that you're, diving into it. And I like the fact that also, things that you don't think about, like, because I'm also in a very male dominated society. But don't hide your feminine, that adds flavor to it. And that's something that other people can't bring to the table when they're men. So I think it's a definite positive the way you're approaching it.
Yeah, thank you. It's definitely little bit at a time over a period of time, and I'm sure it will continue to grow. But it's really inspiring to see a lot of women in these roles that are more male dominated, and just kind of watch with grace how they lead, how they are able to command, but in a feminine way. So I think it's really awesome to see. It's really inspiring to me. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's
Oh, I'm sorry.
fantastic.
This thing popped up. Something popped up in my screen. I said, we'll see how things progress from there.
Okay. Okay. Good, good, good. Last question I have is, what is your vision of retirement? I know it's a long, long way down the road, but what's your retirement vision?
Yeah, I love this question. So because I've been so interested in real estate investing and I've been already doing it now for over 15 years, to me, my vision of retirement is sooner rather than later. My goal is not necessarily to kill myself to getting to that point, but to kind of have it be a more gradual um, opportunity in having more passive investments. And, you know, I know you offer some other great investments. So making sure that I'm really well invested so that I can kind of gradually move to that space, not necessarily, let's say I hit this number and then I get there, but I would like to kind of have a more gradual approach to that. my family and I love to travel. That's our big thing, is experiences. So just continuing to be able to travel more, to explore with our family, and to really just be in a place where we can enjoy time with loved ones. And I would like to give back as well. So when I'm in a space where I don't have to be, making money, I would love to be able to give back to my community, to help others, especially, any specific women groups, things like that. So that's really how I would love to be able to spend my time. Those are some of my goals.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I was meeting with a client the other day, and she's retired and has been retired for, I don't know, maybe eight years or so. But she, one of her big things about retirement was she wanted to travel. And obviously COVID kind of nixed that for about 2 years, but now she's back to traveling.
Mm.
So she returned from France. She was there for several weeks in March. And then we heard all about that. And now her in the fall, she's going to Italy for a whole month. And I was just like, I am modeling my retirement after you. I'm coming back as
Sounds
you in my retirement.
amazing.
Like, yeah, yeah. It's just so exciting, all her plans. And I'm just like, oh, that just sounds so amazing. So yeah, it's really exciting. And I love hearing, everyone, I love that question because everyone has like a little bit different of vision, and it's definitely not your grandma's retirement, right? There's
Right.
nobody's like,
Yeah.
yeah, there's nobody saying, I'm gonna retire and just sit on the front porch and rock my chair. They're doing things like you are. You're like, I'm gonna volunteer. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do some traveling. But those are great things to look forward to. But I also love that you're talking about, like, I'm not just gonna wait till I retire. There's gonna be things I do along the way too, which makes it a little bit more like, all right, I can wait till then because I'm gonna do this in between.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I love that question. I think that's such a great question to ask, because it makes you reflect so much on, well, what if I had all the what if I had all the time is not the best way to say it, but if I didn't, if I wasn't working, what would I be doing? How would
yeah.
I spend my time, and how can I incorporate little bits of that maybe now too? So I think that's
Hmm.
such a great question, and something to really think about more.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me. It is an absolute pleasure to have you on here today.
Thank
And
you.
I
The
want
pleasure's all mine. I had such a fun time spending a little bit of my day with you here, and getting to know you a little bit better as we've continued the conversation as well. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. I want to thank everyone else for joining us as well. Again, I'm Regina McCann Hess, forgewealth.com, on Facebook and YouTube at Forge Wealth. We're on Instagram at Forge Wealth Management, and LinkedIn, Regina McCann Hess. Go make it a great day and have a good one.